poem. It hides in my heart, waiting as if in the small circle at the middle of the labyrinth. I walk towards it, but the path turns away by a purple foxglove, and I must follow the windings that will, in the end, lead me to the center. It smells of cedars and honeyed skin, cappuccino with grated chocolate, the brine of its own body's betrayal. Like a chestnut horse, it hides in shadow, one white sock and the moist gleam of an eye announcing its steady presence. It is lodged in my heart like a stone in the shoe. Each time the great muscle contracts, I feel it rubbing the same tender spot. There is no avoiding it, no limping or hopping, no shaking it to a more comfortable place, no stillness that can ease the bruise, except the stillness of a motionless heart. It is the door behind which somebody stands, waiting to kiss and be kissed.
The first time I heard it said aloud, my sister and her friend were talking PE teachers, and I had already loved 3 women. My stomach tipped, stopped breathing. Hot pools of blood flooded my face. It was springtime. There was a weeping willow and daffodils and this word bumping around in the landscape. To change countries midlife is to change meal times, tax forms, the shape of mailboxes, and to discover that green and white chalk hills falling down to the grey sea are etched into your heart. History and geography. You have your father's zany laugh. It comes down to you from before the events which flung him from camp to flight to New World, his family decimated. But what of this history, this personal geography? A patchwork of dining tables, old documents, names culled from telephone directories in strange cities, whose stories are missing even from this family history. The discarded map lies beside pies and kugel as the questions and answers go on. Leftovers become history. This table becomes geography. This room a small square not marked on the map, where countries each have their own color, where countries each have their own. Crows. Crows startle the clouds with grievances never resolved and warnings blurted into thin air. Once in a while, the cries of all those who tried to survive pour from the funnels of their throats. No wonder we never really listen. Like most animals, crows tell the truth, working hard to penetrate our tiny tubular ears. They cackle on telephone lines while we watch TV. Once I did listen to a crow, but even... When did it start, this shouting of the body? Hold me, touch me, place your warm hand on my emptiness. When did it start, this conversation with the world? Arm in arm, 5 abreast, boots synchronized in a slow march, our broad beams or sleek keels sway in blue denim as we pause 1 second before each step under the shade cast by the banner that snaps and sways overhead, canvas stretching taut, then collapsing loose, the red painted slogan jumbled and mumbling until the breeze balloons it out again. Any time, any day now, we'll rise from solid ground. Long love. Is it your legs I remember? Or that photograph of your legs? Long and skinny they were, swooping from tiny denim shorts to huge hiking boots with bright red laces. It's a wonder those legs could lift such boots, but they did, and with a grace I cannot now attribute to love-struck eyes. The thing is, when you grow old, you fail to notice your lover's legs very often. Love-struck gives way to love-soaked, a softer state in which legs are taken for granted, except if they appear without pajamas in the kitchen, or require a close look for a splinter or a suspicious mole traced softly with your forefinger. Feeling the brown spot, you are struck by fear, love having grown by now into a world, the mole a potential hazard that could split your globe down the middle and leave it to float in space like a white dwarf, as the scientists call a dying star, eventually leaving nothing but another black hole. And they, since they were not the one dead, turned to their affairs. Robert Frost, out. It's not that I blame them. How often have I too turned back to my living life, leaving the dead to hover around in dreams or pop into sight as a back view, walking with a familiar gait towards the park. Just because I'm dead now, I can hardly ask them to hang out nearby, lost for language, lost for gesture, lingering just to show willing. It's not even as if I have somewhere to go. I've told them often enough, the end is the end. So off you go to affairs of state or of the heart, to money worries, doctors' offices, children who threaten to turn out all wrong, or so you say. Anyway, what would we do if you stuck around here? It's too late now for that conversation we never had. We are all broken. An ankle here, a crooked finger there, bones in a lower back, or the still sweet curve of a graceful neck. Some of us broke with age, joints worn out, ears losing the high notes, eyes fogged like the car windows when as teenagers we made out beside the lake. Others have lived with the damage for years, building into each day the oxygen tank, the pain pills, the enormous challenge of a shower and a cup of tea. We may be broken in spirit like horses made. Love. Sometimes you can see it enter the dog, see him look sharply to one side, then the other, as if to wonder where it came from. A shiver from nose to tail, like when the rain seeps through his hair onto his skin, provoking a massive shrug, so that drops scatter up and away in circles. He tucks his tail forward between the long, slender bones of his hind legs and gathers himself as it takes hold. He is a catapult, stretched, poised, his whole body overflowing with nothing more than love for himself and for the lightning he will become when he lets go and bolts, scorching the sweet-smelling turf. You might think that pain would make me ambivalent about this yearning for longevity. Yet there is no ambivalence, not yet anyway. Some force, deep in belly or brain, blood or history, keeps pushing for just one more knife-edged descent of the stairs, braces and bandages in no way lessening the desire to play the espresso maker's sibilant tune and take the first suck of foam from the morning mug.